Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton, HurricaneTrack.com here. Wednesday now, the 27th of September, 2023. Forgive the cricket sound if it's coming through on this very nice microphone that I've got. We have geckos on the other side of the monitor, on the other side of this huge room, this media room that's now my office after my son moved out a couple of years ago to go be an EMT into the real world. Anyhow, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this thumbnail graphic and title card. What's going on out there besides the crickets that have now become somewhat quiet? Well, let me explain, and it really has to do with these two features right here, Philippe and 91L, and the weirdness of what's going to happen with them, and maybe some impacts for our friends here. After all, remember a few days ago we were like, oh man, we might have some problems with what became Philippe, and then it was like, oh no, never mind, and now it's like, well, maybe there will be some problems, because yes, heavy rain is a problem. Rain is an impact. So here's the Hurricane Center's homepage. There's Philippe, and from earlier today, winds were back up to 50 miles per hour. Pressure had come down a little bit. Then we have 91L. No way this is still going to be at 90% later. I'll explain why. Later today, I bet this goes down at the 8 p.m. tropical weather outlook because things are just kind of wacky out there, and we can sort of see that here on the satellite animation here, the true color as it's called. First of all, lots of moisture all across the Caribbean streaming its way north into Florida, and nothing organized there, no low-level circulation seen developing. Plenty of moisture, we'll talk about that towards the end of today's update and what that might mean for the Sunshine State over here. Disturbed area of weather in the eastern Caribbean, not related to Philippe, not related to 91L. But yeah, there is some disturbed weather, some showers and thunderstorms over portions of Puerto Rico. And then we've got Philippe, and somewhere in here is the low-level center, and all kinds of just mayhem out here. And then 91L is apparently in here somewhere, and it's just wacky out there. And then the models are even crazier. Wait till I show you this. We've got all sorts of stuff with them rotating around each other. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Northeast Caribbean as a whole could get some heavy rain and some squalls out of this. Maybe Philippe gets stronger later. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Rena to be, which would be 91L turning into Rena. You see where I'm going with this? It's definitely what's going on out there. This one's a tough one. The ensembles aren't very useful because they're kind of on top of each other. It's just a goofy pattern. So let's break it down. First, at least we can see the vorticity. There's Philippe all by itself, and then here's our teardrop of a system that's 91L, and then again, nothing really consolidating, just a little small area of vorticity at the lower levels. And by low levels, we're talking about 850 millibars in the atmosphere, which is 5,000 feet up, so not quite the surface, but the lower part of our layered atmosphere. So just a small little piece of energy right there in the Yucatan Channel. Otherwise, the energy is stretched out over thousands and thousands of miles here across the Gulf, the West Atlantic, and into the subtropical Atlantic, and then way on up into the northern latitudes there. Nothing forming along this right now. Little areas of concentrated vorticity here and there, but they're still elongated and stretched out. And until and unless they start looking more like this, as ragged as Philippe is looking on satellite, at least this is a satellite product, but it's a different product. But this is what we look for. You guys generally know that if you have watched my videos long enough. So here's what it looks like on the GFS. And I gotta say, it is going to be a weird few days ahead because we got these two systems out here that are very close to each other. And what we don't have is some giant strong area of high pressure sitting out here, deep layer ridging as we call it, to just boot these along. I mean, we don't want them necessarily steered towards land, right? But I'm just saying, for the sake of argument and just to prove a point here, we're lacking strong ridging to just zip these across the Atlantic one after the other where they just go right along like a conveyor belt. That's not happening. So the flow is weaker. So these systems are just kind of stuck out there in limbo, kind of, and it's hard to figure out exactly what's going to happen. When these things slow down, it becomes a lot more chaotic. And you can see that. We're going to run this out to 1 week, 168 hours. Watch what happens with Philippe course, just to get your bearings, let's use black here. There's Philippe right there. We'll put a P, and there is 91L right there. So now let's move this out to the next week. Watch Philippe there. It's like, oh, wait, oh. And both of them might be named, who knows, right? They kind of binarily, is that a word? They interact with each other in binary fashion, or binarily, or whatever, rotating around each other, and then, like, it's like the shell game. Which one is which? So Philippe's on the south side now, rotates around what would be Rena, absorbs Rena, and then Philippe takes over and becomes a strong hurricane, I guess, in the modeling there. Oh, we're way out beyond 7 days. My apologies. Let's stop it right there. And let's just look at this real quick down at the surface, shall we? Yeah, 956. That would be a strong hurricane. So is that what's going to happen? I don't know. It's really goofy, isn't it? I mean, look at that. Let's just look at the replay again. And you see what happens? It's like, wait a minute. That's just crazy. I've done this a long time, and that's one of the strangest things I have ever seen. And that's why we have this. What's going on out there? That's why. And then you've got some other non-tropical area of low pressure up here well off the east coast. Got to pay attention to that. It's been pretty stormy here along the mid-Atlantic. Jersey finally got rid of the leftovers of Ophelia there. And, you know, we don't need any other shenanigans out there, right? So, again, that's a week out, or we will get there. Let's pop it back out to 1 week right there. So that's the GFS. What's the Euro show? Well, now that I'm doing this later in the afternoon, we have the advantage of every 3 hours. So let's do the same thing. Run it out into time. The Euro keeps them separated by weakening Philippe, which is right here. There's Philippe. But it brings that energy there towards the islands, and that could be problematic by way of heavy rain and some squalls. Just because it doesn't look impressive doesn't mean that it can't bring flooding rain to the region. This is 81, 84 hours. There's 4 days right there. Finally, at day 5, 120 hours right there. And then day 6 out to 144. For the most part, Philippe down here kind of gone, at least most of the energy with it. There would be what's trying to become Rena in the Euro's version of this epic tale, right? And then finally out at day 6, Philippe, again, kind of milling around down near the Dominican Republic in vicinity. Could be a big heavy rainmaker. Now you're starting to see some ridging out here over the Atlantic right there. A little bit of a break here. Some more ridging right there. And a little bit of a weakness there. So what happens with Rena later? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Now we all know that you can go and look all the way out to 10 days. So we might as well ourselves. Yeah, we got to watch and see. Maybe Bermuda, maybe, or absolutely none of this matters because maybe these two destructively instead of constructively, they're acting in a destructive manner, interfere with each other. So there's constructive interference and there's destructive interference. The Euro kind of shows more of a constructive, I guess, because you get rid of Philippe and then Rena takes over. And 10 days out, it ends up, within striking distance, I guess you could say, of Bermuda. But again, not to get anybody in Bermuda upset about it. But it's just such a weird pattern that 5, 7, 10 days out, I don't know what the pattern's going to look like out here. I don't know what this, nobody does. And you can say, well, let's look at the ensembles. The ensembles are just a mess themselves because you have these two systems interacting in binary fashion with each other. Kind of a weird situation as we begin to round out the month here. So there's the GFS in a week, and if we just compare that to the Euro in a week, a little bit of a difference there, I guess we could all say. Hey, I got a note this morning from one of the people at Quickdam, Maryland. She's telling me that finally Lowe's home improvement stores, I used to work with them a long time ago in a massive nationwide, well, at least in the coastal states, hurricane awareness campaign. And now the Lowe's stores are stocking up on Quickdam products in Florida especially. That was the purpose of the email from Maryland, to let you guys know. Because again, we're trying to help you out here. It's not just an endorsement or product pitching or whatever. It is a great set of products from Quickdam. I'm working on getting the president and founder of the company Carol on a Zoom with us, probably our patrons first, and we all get to know how the company started. And I'm telling you, the more you learn about them, the more you're going to just be so impressed. But anyway, in Florida, where it's been kind of rainy lately, and of course it is National Preparedness Month for a few more days, and then even this tweet right here, which I will put in the description of today's video for flooding information, for freshwater flooding. And it's not just from the weather. A burst pipe, something spills, you name it, Quick Dam can help you with it. Now available at Lowe's in Florida, pretty much everywhere. So that's a good thing. Everybody getting on board, that's awesome, because the products that they have, mind-blowing. I'm serious. A couple people down in Florida, I took some to after Idalia, and we're working on just getting the word out about what they do. And anyway, I want to share that with you. Very excited about it, as they are as well. All right, that is it. Probably didn't answer the question of what's going on out there, because, well, we don't know for sure, but it is going to be an interesting pattern to watch over the next few days. And as I say often, we will figure it out together. And even if we don't figure it out, we'll at least see the outcome together. That part I can guarantee you. All right, have a good rest of your Wednesday. As always, thanks for tuning in and giving me a part of your day. From all of us here at HurricaneTrack, the whole family, we appreciate you tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth, and I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.